All right, guys. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with the first presentation of the day. So with the first presentation of the day, guys, this is somebody very near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure everybody else in here, right? The reason that most of us are in this room is because of this dude and his YouTube videos, his connections, and what he does. And I'm sure, guys, his presentation slide is building a business that serves you. Who sees this man's Instagram stories on different mountains every single weekend? Who thinks he has a business that serves him? Boom. So guys, the fact that we all flew out here from different parts of the country because of how he's brought us together, I need a standing fucking ovation as he comes down here. So without further ado, let's give it up for Mr. Chandlersaine. Yeah! Absolutely.
I didn't know he was going to do that. If you guys don't know, I don't really love the spotlight, to be honest, but I do get it sometimes. Shout out to the cowboy. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about how to build a business that serves you. I think it's going to be a super unique presentation that's going to hopefully give you guys some different perspective on how to look at your life and look at your business and how to merge the two together. I'm going to tell a little bit about my story and how, I didn't always have a business that served me and I served my business. And hopefully that, there's obviously always going to be phases where you have to work harder, but there's also the point where you ask yourself the question is am I living the life that I actually want to live? So without further ado, let's get into it. I figured I'd throw some pictures up here of things I like to do. So go on cool trips with my friends to, the indigenous jungle, hang out with the indigenous people of Peru and eat dinner in a super questionable place in some random lady's basement that picked us up off the street in South America. Anyways, these are some other things I like to do around here, like go skiing on the left. That's a mountain here. This is in Chamonix in the middle. And this is another ski trip that we went on as well. So these are some of the things I like to do with my time. And so for me, this is what I want to do, is go have epic experiences with people that I care about. So that's what I'm going to be kind of talking to you guys about today, how I do that. So for me, to talk about this is what does it mean for your business to serve you? And I think that you have to build your ideal life first and then build the business around your life. So you're not building the business first and then fitting your life into it. You're building your life first and fitting the business around that. So my work-life balance thesis right now, this always changes, by the way. This is because your life evolves. But for me right now, it is some weeks I like to work 40 to 50 hours, some weeks I work 10 to 20, and then most weeks I work 25 to 35. But my goal is to work on projects that I care about and spend time building epic experiences with people that I care about. That is my life thesis right now and how I want to operate. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm putting on this event, is because it's something that I'm passionate about and something that I care about, right? And so I want to be able to go and chase those things and have the flexibility to do so. My old thesis a couple years ago was work the moment I wake up until I go to bed. Grow the business as fast as I possibly can at all costs. Life will be better if I make X amount of money, and the hard work will be worth it one day. Does anyone have this situation right now? Feel like they have this? Yeah. I think that this is okay for a phase of life, but the point is if you always live like this, then you're going to be burned out and not have a fulfilled life. The only reason we make money is to go and spend it. And some of the things I'll talk about throughout the presentation is how I went through this process of learning these lessons myself. So a couple of the questions that I want to ask, and I ask myself all the time is, are you building a business to one day have the life you want? Or are you building your business around your ideal life? So are you trying to have the ideal life today? Or are you trying to maybe have it one day when you hit a certain goal? And so I think it's important to think about this because for me, it was I won't be satisfied and I'm not going to be happy until I have a $10 million a year business. That's an arbitrary number. It doesn't matter at all. And I realized that when I started thinking about this stuff, and through my story that I'll share later, is I don't actually care about that at all. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. My life would change to zero. It just gets more stressful, actually. So I do believe that you can make great money and have great work-life balance. I don't think that's a myth. I do think you can do that after you put in the work to earn it. And so like I said, it's not that you're going to put in zero effort, because I still am very intentional with the time I do spend in my business, and I put in a lot of effort because it is mandatory. But the trap that I fell into is I tried to force growth. And so I was trying to make growth because I wanted to grow faster, and I felt like I was behind. And that's the trap that I fell into personally. And so, like I said earlier, is I wanted a $10 million a year business really badly. It was like a burning desire in my body for no reason. I always felt behind. I never felt like I was close enough to that. And then like our success in business had come pretty easy for us early on. So like, and I think this is important because when things are easy for a while and then you just get beat down, you start to really question yourself a lot. So 2019 we did 250, 2020 we did 700, 2021 we did 1.8, and we did 2-ish million for the first half of 2022. And up to this point, there was not a lot of roadblocks. The market was really good and it was hiding a lot of mistakes for us. We didn't have too many setbacks. And then in 2022, a lot of you guys know in like July, there was a pretty big correction that exposed our $150,000 a month overhead, exposed our underskilled team, it exposed our gaps in scaling too quickly, it exposed our low ROI marketing channels. So we ended up losing some money, and I lost a lot of my confidence in the meantime because we went from only hitting record months like every month to hitting lower months than we've hit in years every month. And that's pretty hard if you only have one, right? And this caused me to reflect pretty heavily on my life and like why I was unhappy. Because in this moment when the market corrected, I realized that all my happiness was tied to the business's success. Like if we had a good month, oh, we felt good again. But we always were worried about the next month. And when we had a bad month, it was like, man, we just like need to work harder. We need to figure this out. And there was like no satisfaction in anything that I was doing because it was all on the business. And business, as we know, is pretty volatile, right? So if business is where your happiness comes from, your happiness and satisfaction is going to be super volatile as well. And so here's what I reflected on. So this was all in like 2020, 2023. No specific time period, but this is like a reflection period for me. So I went on a 4-month trip to South America. And what I realized is that the people in South America, their median income in Colombia, for example, is like 6,000 US a year. That's how much they median make. And these people relatively had no money, but these are the happiest people I had ever interacted with. They were super happy, super grateful, and like lived in the moment and were very present. This is one thing that like I took note of, and I was like, man, that's super interesting. Like maybe the money doesn't make you happy. I was asked this question. I think this is a fantastic question. It's like, if I could change my life or change anything about my life right now, what would I change? And think about that. Like if there's something right now in your life that you would change, like what is that? And then why aren't you changing it? So it's like for me, I worked like 6 days a week. I worked from 6 a.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. almost every day. And because I wanted to hit this goal. And I was like, man, I just love to take some time off. Like to go on a vacation and actually just like be on vacation. Like kind of like summer break as a kid, right? But I never did that. I was always go travel and I'd work like a normal day and then go experience things if I had time. And that wasn't the way that I wanted to live. As I made more money, I just became less satisfied. It just like felt emptier and emptier. My relationships weren't great. My friendships, romantic relationships, whatever, my parents, all that kind of stuff. I neglected all of it. I heard the concept by Jesse Itzler, talked about building your life resume. And I was like, up to this point, like, what is my life resume? It's like, yeah, I have gone and seen a lot of places, but I haven't experienced them. I haven't experienced the culture, haven't really done much other than try to achieve things in business. And I didn't really feel like this was the life that I wanted to live and, tell my grandkids on the, rocking chair when I'm 65, 70, whatever. And then I did the most impactful thing that I could have done is I wrote out all of my best experiences from 2022 onto a piece of paper. And so what I realized with all these experiences is not a single one had to do with business. That year I spoke on stage for people like Ryan Pineda, on a podcast, won awards, all kinds of different things, right? Young, making money, whatever. But none of those even made the cut for my best experiences. And I kind of realized, that seems like it's probably in misalignment to the way that I'm actually living life. And so this is all going through my head through 2022 and 2023. And some of my takeaways, just to sum them up pretty simply, is money doesn't buy happiness. It just removes the bad stuff, which is great. Having less bad stuff in your life is better. Happiness for me comes from cool experiences with people I care about. It's like being in the moment, being present, not being on your phone, having great conversations and connecting emotionally, right? And for me, in business, I want to work on projects that I care about because at the end of the day, more money is kind of irrelevant. Once you make a certain amount of money where your lifestyle doesn't change, it's completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Another dollar changes nothing. You just have more money in your account. And then through this entire process, I felt extremely alone even though I was surrounded by people, I just never felt like I was present and in the moment because I was always thinking about the next thing. And I can never be grateful for this situation, like this current moment. And even if we had a record month, be like, cool, how do we beat it next month? No party, no celebration, no nothing. Just what's the next thing? And it's kind of a sad way to live. At least it was for me. So I recognized all this stuff and I wanted change, but I felt super strapped to my business. And so I asked myself, it's just a simple question, like, okay, why do I feel strapped? It's a pretty simple question. But for me, it's because I wasn't being intentional about building a business that flowed and grew or grew naturally. What my business was instead was it was like, oh, wrong slide. What my business was instead is it was this thing where we would have a big month and then we'd be like, okay, let's work as hard as we can to do better. And so we would put all the work in and like will the business forward to do more money, to make more profit. But the only reason it was growing is because of us. There wasn't any business model that supported the growth to grow without us. And so by just working more, we could get more production. But if we stepped away, then there would be a lot less production. And so I realized that was a major flaw. And I knew that I couldn't step away because that was the way the business was structured. And we had high overhead. Even though we were doing a lot of deals and making a lot of money, it just wasn't something that was going to grow without me being super present. And that was why I couldn't pull away. So basically what I had to do was at this point, like I recognized all this stuff. Like I said, to have a business that serves you, you have to build your life first and then build the business around it. So before I did anything, I just sorted out what do I want my life to actually look like, and then I can create my business around this lifestyle. So here's the exercise that I did. I'm gonna go through each one and kind of just the thought of it, but I'd really say just take a picture of this and then go through it for yourself. So the way this ideal life exercise works is the dates. You think of it like the frame you're going through this is the date is 1 year from today. You wake up every morning, you start your day. And so here's the questions to get you thinking. These are not the exact questions you have to answer because you'll answer other questions, but it just gets the thought process going. So what do you do when you get out of bed? Where do you go from when you leave your house? What do you see? What do you hear? What does your professional life look like? What does your personal life look like? What do you spend your days doing? How's your schedule? Is it organized and running like a clock? What's your work-life balance? What kind of stuff do you do every day? What kind of money you're making? What does your friend group look like? And what does your dating life look like? And you want to cover all parts of your life through this. Your health, your wealth, your professional side, the spiritual side, mental, and dating. And basically, when I went through each one of these with the frame of going through each part of my life, I started to realize all the flaws and the gaps from what I wanted and where I was right now. And it's pretty simple, right? We're all problem solvers. If you know what you want and you know where you're at, then you can get there. You just have to make the changes and be okay with what that looks like. So I will talk about what changes that I feel like are important to make as you do this, because you can't just say, oh, I want my life to look like this, and then your business is profitable and runs with your life being first, right? There's a couple key levers that I want to talk about to do that. But the important part is just to get you thinking about what do you want your future and what do you want your life to look like, and why can't it not look like that right now? It's very important. So here's the core things that I changed. These are simple things. They're not really that much, but the impact they have on my day-to-day and how much energy I have is a lot. The first one, the most important one, is I hate waking up to an alarm. Cannot stand it. So I just don't set alarms anymore in the morning, and I wake up to the sun, and it's awesome. It's so freeing. Sometimes I also had to make a rule where I don't have meetings before 8:30 because I'd sleep through them. Sometimes, can't do that. It's bad. Then I only had 2 meeting days per week. Before I'd have meetings all the time. So Monday and Thursday I have my meeting days. I take random days off intentionally. So some Wednesdays, I'll just go rock climb with my friends instead of working, or work a couple hours, do the important things, and then go take the rest of the day off. Obviously you have to balance this with what the business needs, but you also have to balance this with going to experience things that you want. So I live in Colorado. If it snows a foot on a Tuesday, I'm going to go ski in the fresh powder because that sounds amazing. So that's really important for me. Fourth thing is doing multiple mini-week vacations. So has any of you guys read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss? He talks about mini vacations. So this is my version of it. I like to do at least a few 2 to 3 week long trips somewhere where I'm I'll do a little bit of work, maybe a day or 2 per week at max, but it's light, a few hours. And then the rest of the time, I'm just enjoying the moment, enjoying the place I'm at, going to the culture, going to language classes, going to learn culinary stuff, whatever, just getting immersed. And it's been really, really good for me because when you detach from the day-to-day, from being close, you get perspective on like what your business needs from a higher level. And then you come back way more energized. Fifth one, non-negotiable for me, is 90 minutes of exercise per day. Whether it's running, rock climbing, lifting, whatever. I have to do that. It's just the best for my health. Building a strong friend group. This is something I never really had. I never really had great friends that I could always rely on my entire life. And over the last few years, I've been very intentional about doing that. And now I feel like I have the best friend group that's possible. People who I could call at any point in time for any reason, and they'd answer and they'd be there to help me out. And that's harder than you think. So the seventh one is spending more time focused on the business model than making money. So like there's a lot of times where you're go, go, go all the time. But what I've tried to think about is like, if I want to live my life first, the business model has to be set up in a way, and the team has to be set up in a way that it grows organically without you being the driver all the time. Like, yes, you can be the driver because sometimes you have to implement new things, you have to start a new marketing channel, you have to open a new market, whatever it is, learn a new exit strategy. But if you're always the driver, and if you are not overseeing some department, and if you don't oversee it, it gets worse, then like that's just not set up the right way. So I obsess over the business model and the people on the team running each part. Because I think like if you set it up the right way, then you can just not pay as much, like you can pay less attention and be less particular about everything. Like you still have to be like pretty neurotic, but you know what I mean? Like you can just have more space and things will work better. And so I took all this information and I shifted it around, shifted my business to fit my life. And so basically like the problem was with this, I still like took all these things and put my life in, like I put my life first. I said, okay, no alarms, no this, no that. But I still kept forcing growth instead of just letting the business model grow organically. And like this is what I'm gonna talk about next, is like some of the key pillars for the business, because what I had a linear model where it's like I had to force the growth and there was only like one way to make money. Whereas if you have a compounding model, then there's many ways to make growth and it grows over time. So this is the idea I kept thinking about. So what I was doing is I'd have a big marketing bill at the front, big staff bill, and I would just work as much as I can to make the money in one way with lots of risk. And so when I stopped working as much, you start making less money and you like realize like, oh wait, this is like, you gotta make sure we're still making money. So then you have to go through this phase of figuring out how does this all work together. And there's a lot of risk when you only have one way to make money. Especially if, everyone in this room is doing like legit business. Like once you get to, 500, $1 million, $2 million a year, you need to diversify your risk and your income, in my opinion, because business is volatile and it just is the nature of small business. So here's my 3 compounding pillars that I think help me make the shift from being the sole driver of revenue in the company, or one of the sole drivers of revenue in the company, to being kind of like a facilitator of growth. So the number 1 is going to be human capital allocation. And so this is like people mixed with what they spend their time doing. So right, like obviously we all know we need good people in our team, but it's like how do you allocate those people and what opportunities do you present them? The second thing is going to be brand building. So focused on marketing. If you guys I stalk people all the time to figure out what they're doing with their marketing. Someone good to look at, Courtney, back in the back, one of the best building brand in the room. So super good guy back there for this. And then the third thing is diversifying profit centers. I think this is super important because when things aren't going perfectly, and I'll talk about what I mean by this in a minute, but when things aren't going perfectly, and maybe you're flat for a couple months, maybe you lose a little money, maybe you make a little bit of money, it gets stressful. But if you have all your bills paid by other things, it just makes your life so much easier. You don't have to worry about it. So allows you to take. Yeah. Yeah. You ready for that? Yeah. You want me to skip there first? All right, bet. Cool. All right, human capital allocation. So the definition for this, the way I think about it, is like adding leverage by people, which is nothing revolutionary. But the strategy is giving someone with high drive and the talent and the ability to start a new profit center in the company. And so I'll explain. A profit center for me is a way to make money with what you're already doing that doesn't make you go and generate business in a new way, right? So an example of this could be all right, well, very simple, we only wholesale. Well, now let's say we flip. we can add $30,000 per deal that you do each time you flip a house. So maybe you have someone start a flipping division. Maybe you have someone start a foreclosure division. Maybe you have someone start a direct to agent. You get the gist, right? Like other ways that you can make money doing the same thing you're doing right now with the same business, but you give someone the ownership and the ability to go and start it, and that's what the strategy is. So there's 3 truths that I've found for this to be a success. 1, the person must be an A player, which I'll define that later. 2, this person must add to their current performance. Their current performance cannot drop. And then this 3rd thing is the profit center must be upside only, right? It's very important. This is like when I talk about growing profit, not revenue, this is like what I mean is when you're adding something new is you're not trying to add a ton of, like at least for me when I'm doing this, I'm not trying to add a ton of expenses. I'm trying to only add revenue, which means I'm only adding profit. So this new thing that I'm adding is only going to be upside in theory. The only thing I'm wasting is time, but in potential performance. But if the second one's true and their performance doesn't drop, then I'm not really wasting anything. So that's why I say upside only.
So like adding a JV like division inside of your company, something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, fair.
Yep. So okay, truth number 1, this person must be an A player. So what's an A player? In my opinion, someone who has a true proven track record of top 1% achievement. Everyone in this room probably has that, right? I mean, if you look back at your life and you compare yourself to average, you're at least top 1, 2, 3 at something that you've done. That's just the truth. You are going to be successful regardless of what you did. The second thing is this person speaks with specifics about the successes and lessons that they've learned. So if I was to ask any of you guys, like, how'd you do your first deal? You would tell me exactly how the deal went and all the things you learned throughout it. And that would be exactly what you'd say. So if you were going to ask someone like at their last business, like for example, let's say I'm hiring like a head of marketing. So this is the example I heard that really made it resonate for me. I'd be like, hey, like at your last company, what was the company doing? And then what is it doing now? And then what are the 3 biggest things that you did to make that happen? And if they can't tell you 1, 2, like it was doing this, and then it was doing this, and here's the 3 roles I played and exactly what I did, what I took away, and how this worked, then they don't know what the hell they did. They have no idea how to replicate it, and they probably just got lucky. So they have to understand how they had success and show that they learned, because that's just a characteristic of people who win. The 3rd thing is they have the character traits of a winner, which I'll talk about how I find this in a second. 4th thing is this person will win with or without you. I see this all the time, and I'm guilty of it, is you have to stop trying to help a loser win. Like people who aren't winners are not going to be winners at a high scale. Like if I'm a betting man, imagine you're betting your entire net worth on this person as a frame. And like if this person performs and works out, then like I double my net worth. If this person doesn't, I lose it all. You're going to have a way better decision-making frame from that because you're going to be able to connect with your gut. And so that's one of the biggest things that I try to do when I'm hiring someone. The next thing is how do I build the A-player avatar? Because the A-player avatar is the most important thing. Like in marketing, it's about who are you marketing to? What is the avatar? What are they experiencing? What do they think? What do they do? Et cetera. It's the same thing when you're hiring someone. You have to know what you're looking for in order to find it. So for me, the first question and I do this exercise for myself. So I'm going to ask myself these 6 questions, and I wrote out my answers for each one. The first one is what top 1% thing have you achieved? What is it? What's that thing? Then write out 3 specific things you did to get there. Then after that, you're going to say, why specifically did you accomplish this thing? Who on the journey made it possible for you? If you started over from square one, what would you do to get there faster? And what would be your path? And then the 6th thing is, what did you learn on this journey? If they can answer all these questions with very good specifics, and they've thought about all these things, then I guarantee you that person's going to be successful. There's no doubt in my mind, because the only people who have ever thought about these and have good answers for this are people who are successful. And it's going to expose it right away. All right, truth number 2 is this needs to be an addition, not a reallocation of effort. And what I mean by that is that if someone produces $100,000 a month in revenue, say they're a sales guy, they have to continue to produce that same exact KPI in order to add the new opportunity. So if they have to work 40 hours a week to hit 100K a month in revenue, then they have to work 60 hours a week to do this new opportunity. That's just what has to happen. There's no other way around it. And it's the same thing with marketing. Like if you say, hey, like I'm going to reallocate my budget from things that are working to aren't working, then you're going to make less money. So it's the same thing with this. All right, number 3 is upside only, right? It needs to be upside only. So for me, an upside only profit center is a way to add only profit to the business, typically through vertical integration or adding exit strategies to the business. So some examples you could look at would be like starting a listing division. You know, that's a simple one, right? You get a lot of leads that are retail. Why not list them? You probably make an extra 20, 30K a month that pays for your marketing. Maybe if you do a lot of flips, start a roofing company, a plumbing company, HVAC, mold, etc. I have multiple friends who've done this and they all are very successful at it. I'll talk about how to do some of these things in later in this slide deck, and then also my presentation tomorrow. Another one, it's like if you do 10 deals a month and you own a title company, then you're making a couple $1,000 on your policy each time you do a deal. Hard money, lending to your buyers, right? It's like take your money that you're making and then lend it to your cash buyers who are doing flips. You can make money that way. And so the point is, these things shouldn't make your business more complicated because you have the right operator in place to run them. And it's not like you're starting another business. You're not starting a whole new acquisition channel. You're just monetizing your leads and your opportunities in more ways to increase, we call it LTV, lifetime value, or lifetime gross profit. That's the whole point of this, is how do we get our deal size bigger? I know we were talking a little bit, I think Steven was saying like he's seen it in Florida, like assignment fees are getting lower, right? In order for this business to work, we want to have the biggest assignment fees possible because deal costs are always gonna rise, there's more competition, and it's important to always be increasing the amount of money you make each time you do a deal. You have to do that, it's the most important part of business. The biggest businesses, if you look around, usually have massive lifetime values. Like think about Apple. I bought 10 phones from Apple, and like so is the rest of the world. So they make tons of money from just this small little thing that they do. All right, moving on, brand. I'll talk about this more tomorrow in a lot more depth, and I'll be happy to share anything you guys have. But for me, the way I kind of look at brand is it's just trust at scale, because marketing is really just sales at scale, right? So the reason marketing is better than sales is because with marketing, I can build trust with 1,000+ people, whereas with sales, I can only do it one-on-one. So I'm limited to the number of slots on my calendar, whereas if I'm marketing or building brand, I'm limited by how good I am at talking or how I distribute my media. And so the example would be, look at this today, right? I made 2 Instagram posts about this event, and then now there's 56 people here, 2 posts. I had 70 people DM me to come. Not everyone can make it, but the point is, like, it took me 30 seconds to do that. That's way more leverage than a sales call. And so one of the impacts of brand that I've realized is that the sales call, your frame of your sales call changes a lot, because the frame changes from you're convincing a seller or a prospect that you're trustworthy, and then you can make them the offer for after you build that trust, to if it's a branded sales call, like the reason why organic, like if I have someone who's like, referrals, if you've ever been a referral or whatnot, like you're basically gonna sign up 100% of the time if you're a referral. It's because you already trust the person, right? So the frame of that call is like, hey, like, what do you need to hear in order to work with me? Like, what do you want to hear? And then you can obviously relate deeper to their situation, connect with them, and then you make them the offer. But they already trust you when they hop on the call. And then it's about just reinforcing that trust and giving another good impression. So you're gonna have so like the thing I think about is like, obviously the branded sales call is gonna have a way higher close rate, and it's gonna have a way larger deal size than the non-branded sales call. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Courtney, would you agree?
Oh, 1,000%. My sales calls went from like an hour to like 15 minutes because I started focusing on branding more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And so like, I was also, just a complete side note, a conversation I was just having with Ben, and he was like, one of the things I feel like I'm missing as an operator is only being in real estate rooms. And I think this is a great thing, because as I've started to learn more about digital marketing and like the online space, I realize how far behind real estate actually is. No one has any marketing skills in real estate. Everyone just is only a sales guy, which is cool. But if you could like just take the marketing lessons that, things like Courtney knows, guys who, do 10 million, 5 million, a couple $1,000,000 a year in the marketing space know, like these guys suck at sales. Like I'll tell you, like all the marketing guys are terrible at sales. They're terrible, Courtney. But the point is, like, you can learn a lot from these guys and add it to your business. And so I really encourage you to spend a lot of time becoming a great marketer. Like Fidel, you lowered your cost per contract from like 5K to 1K from starting your own ads, right? It's just as simple as like learning marketing. You didn't change anything in your sales process, did you? Yeah. Say no. Exactly. So, all right. So here's a couple things we're doing right now on the real estate side of how we're gonna set the pre-sales call framing, right? I don't know if this is the best word for it. I might not stick with this, but we'll call it that for right now. So the first thing is you want to address in your marketing and your pre-sales call process is any objections that might arise. You want to relate emotionally to the seller situation, and you want to prove that you can solve their problems. If you can do those three things, you're going to give yourself a better chance than anyone else who's hopping on a call with them, because no one else is doing it. And so the entire goal is to show them some kind of video that establishes trust, that you're the best and the most trustworthy person to solve their problem. If you do that, you instantly have a leg up on anyone else. Instantly. The reason people sell to us for a discount is because they like us and they trust us, and they know that we can perform. And so imagine if you could you don't have to convince someone on a sales call to like and trust you. They show up to the sales call liking and trust you. Imagine how much better you'll do. A lot. I mean, like crazy amount better. Because I'll tell you, real estate sales is like the best sales in the country. There's no industry that is better at sales, in my opinion.
Hey, my name's Chandler.
I don't know if this audio is going to work. You did? You guys could hear that? All right, sick. So this is so what I'm going to show next is my first iteration of just freeballing a thank you video that's going to show them after they opt in to become a lead. So we're going to call them, and then they're going to watch this video. It's just a very simple example, but I want it to feel authentic, real, and relatable.
This is for real estate?
Yeah.
That's smart. See, that's what you do when you're running the funnel. You do have a thank you page, and I like the fact that you took that from like the digital marketing space and incorporated it in real estate.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yep. And so it's just it's kind of like a pattern interrupt mixed with a trust builder. So instead of them going to the next form, instead of them getting an answer to the next call, they're going to watch this and they're going to be like, man, that's interesting. You know, no one else has done that. So so everyone be really quiet, and then we're going to watch this. It's like 45 seconds.
Hey, my name's Chandler, owner of Top Buyers, and I want to say thank you for trusting us to get you a fair and helpful cash offer for your property. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through our process of how we actually can prep and get you your offer. And then two, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and our company. We've been helping sellers for the last 6 years, and we've been able to help over 500 sellers sell their home the easy way, which has allowed us to see so many experiences and help so many different people in so many different situations. So if you're experiencing something where you feel like your situation's a little unique, or you have some different circumstance that isn't per usual, we're able to help you, right? No matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, we got you. Whether your property's a complete fixer-upper, whether it's in great condition, we can help with that, right? So we have all the tools, all the experts that are needed on our end to make sure that we perform on our word. So there's a couple things that I want to share with you over the next 60 seconds about our cash offer. So the first thing I want to go over with you is that our number that we give you, our offer, is a net to you number. What that means is that if, let's say we agree on a number of $300,000, so to say, you don't have to pay any commissions, there's no realtors, there's no closing costs, we cover everything, no repairs. The $300,000 is net to you, and that is what you will receive at closing, guaranteed. And so this is why most sellers choose to work with us, is because we're a reputable and trustworthy company at Top Buyers, and when we give you an offer, it's valid, it's guaranteed, it's not going to change. It's a number that we know that we can close your property on no matter what. No matter your situation, no matter the condition of your property, we're going to give you a fair and helpful cash offer. So look forward to that call from our team, and I will see you guys later. Thanks.
So pretty simple. But it hits like the main pain points that people would want. I would probably script it out a little bit better. There's some things in there, but overall, it gets the job done. I think it'll get the job done.
If you guys saw that, would you not have more connection with the company that you just submitted the form on? Would you not feel more comfortable seeing a person? And it's not super staged either, right? That connection's
like
important.
iPhone.
Yeah.
With bad audio, the whole nine. So, and the way to make this better too, just to kind of tell you, is like to do this, but walk through like a house you're flipping or a house you're buying. Be in the house, like look at this, like this seller's, like this house, like it's kind of falling apart, or it's this, there's that, there's mold, whatever. We're helping them. They don't have to move anything, just the whole nine, right? It's like you can just walk through the pain points of a specific deal. And then what this will evolve into is as a seller comes into our system, let's say they're a tired landlord, the tenant wrecked the house. They'll get tagged as that, and then we'll send them the right video that matches their situation. If they're a foreclosure lead, we'll send them the right video that matches their situation. And, if you do this, they're going to be like, man, like, it's like in sales. Like Chris Voss says, like, you want your prospect to be like, yeah, that's right. That's me. I feel understood. If you can do that in your video before the sales call, they're going to be a lot more receptive to when you say, oh, like, tell me about your situation. They're just going to open up to you. They're like, I already trust this guy. I know he's going to be all right. And if you ask more about it, they're going to tell you the exact truth the first time. They're not going to hide things from you. So I think it's going to be very important, very pivotal over the next year to focus on this a lot because things are getting more competitive. There's more people doing it, and things are becoming more saturated, and the market's just becoming a little tighter, right? So I encourage all you guys to learn this stuff, and if you don't, I think that truthfully you will be in trouble in 12 to 18 months from now. I think you really will be in trouble. All right, Courtney, this one's for you, bro. Diversifying income. So one of the things I will say is that all of my bills are paid with income that's not related. All right, I guess my bills weren't paid. Shit. So all my bills are paid with income that's not related to things I spend my time doing, meaning that just passively or low, maybe like 1 or 2 hours a week of time, my bills are paid. So affiliates, other business equities, investments, and YouTube AdSense that comes from me making videos. So that's how diversified income. The way I kind of came up with this idea was not my idea. This wasn't unique. This is actually from one of the guys who I know. He talks about the barbell theory. He basically says you have 2 types of income. You have reliable income and you have risky income. Reliable income should cover your fixed expenses with your fixed monthly investments, like your cash coming out of your account every month. For me, I spend $15,000 a month with investments in my lifestyle. It's not crazy, but that's how much I spend. And then the risky stuff is like your play money, your investments, your passions, your fun, your hobbies, your whatever. That's your play money. And so what I try to do is I try to have this fully covered by reliable income, things that are going to happen without me being present, and then have this be covered by my business, like what I spend my time doing, where I'm actively focused. And this allows me to live a life where I really have no stress on whether I show up to work or not that day, right? It's like, obviously I have to because I have a team, I have bills to pay, I can't lose money. I don't want to like lose money in a month, but I'm able to play on offense, not defense by living life like this. And so this is a very important way that I try to set up my financials for myself. So any questions? This is a question slide, by the way.
What questions? Y'all got to have some questions. Let's raise hands. We got one over here. What you got? Can you stand up when you ask your question?
Wait, can we get her a mic?
So with the videos, have you started doing that already?
Oh, we're launching it. Braden, when are we launching that?
What was the question?
When are we launching the videos? Next week or this week?
This week, if you have time.
Next week, probably.
Okay, well, can you let me know how that goes?
Yeah, you'll see it somewhere.
Great.
Yeah.
So when they get the videos, is it as soon as they come into your CRM?
It's going to be through, so it's all digital stuff, so it's going to be like when they opt in, they're going to go to that page. So they fill it, let's say they're on Facebook, ad pops up, I want to buy your house, whatever. Boom, 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 info. Lead submits. After you submit the lead, they're going to go to a new page. That page is going to basically have that video on it, and it's going to say thank you, watch this video for the next steps to get your guaranteed cash offer.
Okay.
Something like that.
Sweet.
That's already implemented that into my page already. Like the video on my funnel.
Yeah.
So I can tell you as far as it helps with the expectations. So my video goes hey, here's the next steps. Expect a call from my team members. But as far as the contact rate, it actually helps increase it because the seller already has understand that the next steps to finalize the offer.
Are you gonna have to mic everybody else up?
Yeah.
Let's not do that. I'm just gonna stay out waiting for the
It's helped a lot. They're expecting an offer versus they're trying to contact down.
Hey, stand up so people can hear what you were saying, or just project a little more too.
I'm saying, yeah, just piggybacking off that, it definitely helps our connection rate for sure. Yeah, but I would just say hey, we're almost ready with your cash offer. We just need a couple more steps or a couple more details from you. Please expect a phone call from my team members. So that's usually that's pretty much my process. And it's currently on my ads.
And that just comes right after they finish the forms?
Yeah, if you go to the website, you'll see it. Okay. This is me talking. Yes.
Yeah. I think
Conditions?
what's up?
Conditions, the reasons they want to sell, you got redirect them to a different thank you page?
That's going to be V2, yeah.
Huh?
That's V2.
Okay, that's V2?
Version 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
What other questions we got, guys?
So Renard.
So how would you do this for outbound versus marketing, cold call?
Send them an initial text. Let's say they become a lead in your system, just send them a text with a link to the video.
And I guess a two-parter, to kind of get on the negative side of things. This is the world we live in. We all know. So you're going to talk to an older, black woman in South Carolina, and she's gonna be like, you know, you're the devils who are trying to gentrify her neighborhood, you know?
Yeah.
And then I might send my video to a white guy who doesn't want to do business with me.
Yeah.
How are you going to get around that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Why should you even care about that?
I think that there's a couple things. So one, there comes to a point, like when you think about like market dynamics, there comes to a point when you like you'll resonate. Like for example, I'll resonate with a certain type of person, obviously with that video. There will be a certain time that I max out that avatar and the ad spend no longer works. And so you'll have to mix up different avatars to relate with different parts of the market. Your messaging too, like same thing with like foreclosures and absentee, you know, tired landlord, like the situations.
Right.
So like at a certain point, if you only did, let's just say tired landlords, at a certain point you couldn't spend more money on that after you scaled it. Like you'd get stuck at like, let's say $5K a month in your spend. To scale your spend, you'd have to like add like, you know, let's say for people who are retiring and they don't want to clean the house out, they lived there for 30 years, whatever, like an owner-occupied type of deal. Just like you would with a list for cold call, you just have to shift it for marketing and just like target that different audience. And so like for a thank you page, like if you're getting no results, you got to test some other things. But yeah, that's.
All right, we got another question over here.
It wasn't even a question. I was just saying you could like build off other personalities. Use your parents to take a video. Use your friends to take a video. Like you don't necessarily have to be the one on the video. I think you can definitely shape it and use other people to kind of shape your message and craft messages for other people.
For sure. Fidel.
Sit up or what?
Yeah, stand up. I'm about to go on the mic.
It's a trick question, you said?
In the digital like marketing, that they'll do something like a lead magnet or something to decrease CAC. You ever thought about something where you could do that with real estate? Because you know our cash cycles are so long.
Yeah.
And the main factor that's going to determine your cash conversion is the days on market and how hot a market is. So we all deal with like waiting to get like a deal that's closed, and we have to fund the marketing and all the costs. Have you ever thought like a way of like doing that? Because I try to think about it, but like I can come up with anything like where we make the sellers like pay something, as you know, like they're distressed.
So the problem with like lead magnets that I've experienced is it's like the only reason you do lead magnets is because a direct offer where it's like, hey, like, you know, the offer for real estate, like for buying someone's house is like a cash offer and an easy close, right? That's the offer. That's all you can really do. That gets leads and gets people who have high intent, and it's a very simple funnel because people come in, they're like, I'm ready to make a decision relatively soon. They're not super far down the sale, like they're not super high and far away from the sale in the funnel perspective. And so like, I would say that if you can get leads at cost that makes sense, then I would focus more on like this going deeper in niches, like sub niches, like the avatars, and then going very deep into each avatar. Like for example, this guy, his name is Cole Gordon. The way that he's scaling his ads is he does a direct offer, and then he does it per industry, and he makes a specific funnel per industry. And so initially it started as one big broad offer, and then he realized like, oh, I get a lot of people in the tech world, I get a lot of people in real estate, I get a lot of people here. So he made it one specific video for people in real estate. He made one specific video for people in solar. You get the gist? And then like he was able to, you know, like let's just say increase his ad spend and also lower his cost per acquisition because it was more specific and talked specifically to that person rather than a broad thing. Because the problem with like lead magnets is you're gonna get really low quality leads and they're gonna be really far from the sale, which means you're gonna have a lot more complicated marketing system, which if you're trying to get to like, you know, 30, 40, 50 million, like you're gonna have to do that probably at some point, depending on how big your market is. But there's no reason to do that now. I think you just overcomplicate the business.
So we tried it about a year back. We tried lead magnets, and we get them like foreclosure books, like hey, how to avoid foreclosure. We're giving them books like that. The shittiest quality leads you can get. But we probably spent like 50 grand on it.
Okay.
They did close deals from it, but it, like Chandler was saying, it didn't make sense because it went from 1 out of 20, 1 out of 15 to like 1 out of like 60.
Yeah.
It just add more stress onto, let's say, the sales guys, and the morale started to go down.
Well, then you could, you know, to do it right, you'd have to like automate like the front half of your funnel. Like it would be your ad sequence would be way more complicated. And because we're in the housing category on Facebook, you can't really retarget as much. And it's kind of
it's just mainly the offer solving the problem that they have.
That's what I would do. Like Courtney, that's what you would do probably too.
What?
That's what you would probably do if you were scaling too, right?
Do what? What was it?
Go deeper on the niche.
You say go real niche?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Yep.
All right, we got a question over here.
Have you looked at implementing like AI agents or any type of like AI into your systems and processes for qualifying leads or sorting out, leads? And
No, I have not. I know some people are. Were you guys exploring that?
Yeah, we're building it out, but it's a lot of testing and getting them to do it, the right way.
GCPA compliant right now.
I used AI callers last year and didn't pick up on it. So they'll be like, "Are you a robot?" And
The latency
there's
is
bugs.
terrible. Like
You
you
have
have to.
You have to disclose it too. You
Yeah.
have to disclose right away that they're.
We don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Got
Everybody reach out to me all the time. Hey, Courtney, I got this AI agent for your client. And I say, send me a call. And I'm like, yeah, just put a real person on it. Don't cut the cost there. I would rather you put like a person overseas before you use that. You know?
But it's a good way to filter. So like I talked to somebody about we focus on pre-foreclosures. So it can go through and it can tell you which phone numbers are connected and what's not in like 2 minutes through 3,000 leads, 5,000 leads. So you can immediately know this one's disconnected and it narrows it down. But is it worth the cost?
Got it. What other questions we got, guys? Right here, come on, stand up.
Can you expand on diversifying income, like how we could go about that with affiliates? Like, let's say you already have like a YouTube following, and like when you say investments, is that like a dividend? Like,
It's like some like, the main thing for investments would be like into other companies, like private companies, like sitting on the board of a company, or loans or stuff like that, mainly, not like dividends. Yeah.
What else? Any other questions, guys?
Oh yeah, Keith also asked another part of that question. Sorry, I got distracted by the last part. How could you go about diversifying your income? Well, I think like the biggest thing is like making your business, like think about your business as like, let's say you have $20,000 a month in fixed cost. How do you pay for your fixed cost every month without having to do anything? That's like the first step, right? It's like that's kind of an easy way. It's like you're already doing deals, you already have things happening. How can you like set up a kickback, like a referral agreement with a title company, with a closing attorney, with a realtor, with all these different things, like to pay for your marketing costs, to pay for your fixed cost, and then now your business is also runs on reoccurring, and you don't have to worry about that, or you at least have some reoccurring element to where $10,000, $20,000 a month, like it chips in, and that just goes straight to the bottom line at the end of the day, and you don't have to worry about that. So that's how I would first approach it, and then like as you kind of grow things, like I think the best way for like the way that I've done it is like through growing my brand and like having my brand be bigger, and then like I get opportunities sent to me all the time, like every day almost, and like I have so much leverage because of that.
Or you can send me clients and I'll pay you in perpetuity.
Yeah, he's giving out 70% affiliate.
What other questions, guys? We're gonna break for lunch after this, still, right?
Yep.
So we got any other questions?
Yeah, so I know you said 15, like basically your 20K a month, basically try to pay for that without doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
For all of that profit you making with the risky side of it, right? And like adopting a profit first strategy, because you live a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not
I pay 80% of net profit to myself every month. 20% stays in the business.
okay, 80% net profit, but you're not spending 80%. What are you doing with that, like that 80%? Are you spending it like on your expenditures and just have a fund? Or you put like 50% out for the future and spending 50% now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some goes to taxes. So like I'll put 25% in a tax account just every month, and then as far as other things, like for example, like I invested in this, so this would be something where I like took money and put it into here, or like into a company, or into doing like transactional funding from time to time, or stuff like that.
Is that more like 50%?
Yeah, and then I also invest like into like stocks. I invest into a life insurance policy, and then I pay extra towards my mortgage to pay my mortgage down faster, and then different things like that. And then like if I have a big opportunity like to buy something that like is gonna increase my cash flow, then I'm gonna do that. But it's like I try to keep like cash because I want to have the flexibility and the fluidity to make investments.
Yeah.
And then also like I don't know, I like having a lot of cash because it makes me feel good. Yeah.
$1 million worth of game. We got another question right here.
So social media and branding, is that something for this group? I mean, you've got a following. As far as beginning, do you outsource that, or do you try to manage that? Because that can be a full-time job in itself.
So 100%. I will talk super in depth about how my strategy for brand tomorrow, but I don't talk about how I manage it. So like I'll give you some of that right now. The way I manage it is I have 2 EAs who basically like kind of like one's a personal assistant and then one's like the kind of the company admin, but they both, you know, work really closely with me. I talk to them both like multiple times, like a lot. And we'll meet once a week to go over my content schedule, which I could show you and send to you. Basically where I go through and I plan all my reels and then all my YouTube videos. And we do that for 30 minutes and we'll review the KPIs for all of our YouTube videos for the first 7 days of after posting them. And then we'll review each week all the KPIs for all the reels we posted, like how many views, shares, saves, comments, and likes we got. And then we'll just like I'll look at it and I'll just be like, okay, I need to make videos on this because this did better. I need to do more on this. And like I can just understand like what's working. And then like I can manage that whole thing with 30 minutes a week to manage the production of that. They have all the editors, they do all that stuff, and they manage all that and they post everything. And then I like replying to my DMs, so I reply to my DMs a lot. And then as far as making the content, once a month I work with someone who we film a month's worth of reels in like 1.5 hours. And I'll send him a bunch of stuff. I made a ChatGPT with like all my documents and shit. That way I can just be like, hey, give me some topics or whatever. And then I'll like feed it like what's working when I'm going to talk to him. And then it will just feed me some topics. He'll come with hooks that are like working that he thinks will be good. And we'll make a shared doc and go through it. So that maybe takes me like 2 hours to prep for. And then he edits it, does all that. And then I make the YouTube videos. I pretty much do those when I'm inspired. So when I'm like talk to a client, talk to someone, my own business, have a situation where like these guys need to hear about this and it fits in really well with like the messaging that I'm trying to relay. And so I'll just make a video about it. Whether I typed outline, just free flow, whatever, usually takes me like 30 minutes to an hour to make a video and I send it to my team and they go and do everything else with it. So I'd say I'd probably spend 3 to 4 hours a week, maybe 5 max on content. That's really it.
Well, who in this room has seen his content? Let me ask you all that. Look at the show of hands. 3 to 5 hours. Systems, processes, and just running it up. Like, you dialed it in. Yeah.
How much did your video guy charge you to film for an hour and a half and make a month?
$2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's editing it, or you're having your VA?
He edits it.
He edits it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. Pretty good price.
I was gonna ask you.
The homie hookup.
Sorry, what's your overhead for like all social media stuff, like including your EA and?
Yeah, I would say like EAs, like they probably spend 10% of their time on that. So like if I was to, so it's probably like 300. 2K edits, another $2,000. $2,000 on the edits, probably total a month. I should know this off the top of my head, but like probably about $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah, not too much.
That's good. Including like your retargeting and all that?
Not my ads, no. My ads I only spend like $6K a month on.
$6K or?
$6,000, yeah. Don't spend that much because it's a super small audience.
What other questions we got, you guys? Any other questions before we break for lunch? Going once. Oh, we got some. Is that a
workout routine are you on, Jay?
Y'all see those shoulders, right?
Dude, I was gonna wear my suit and it was too small for me. Do you want the actual answer, Adam, or are you just fucking around? All right. I run 20 miles a week, 25. I ski 10 to 15. I rock climb 3 to 4 times a week, and then I work out once or twice a month. Yeah, I lift weights once or twice a month at a gym, like actual weights, and I rock climb like 3 or 4 times a week.
Let me preface this though, because the stuff he does on weekends is stuff that if most of us in this room would try to do, we'd be dead on the top of a mountain. So that's a workout in itself.
Yeah. Justin knows I sometimes get dead on top of mountains.
What's your diet look like?
Whatever I want, dude. Bunch of steak, pretty much. Steak, rice, and yeah, that's about it.
We got any more questions? You got a question?
What's up, guys? Phil Cruz, based out of Denver. When you're doing your videos, are you utilizing Go High Level? Is that like your bread and butter, kind of like CRM, inbound, outbound kind of situation?
For which part specifically? But we do use Go High Level, yes.
Yeah. So is that like you implemented something, or is it like a white label that you?
Is that for marketing? Are you talking about for marketing?
Yeah. For marketing
for homeowners or for?
So like I run Facebook ads through just the Facebook ad manager, and then like, but all my like So any picture I make is through Canva. So if you guys ever see a picture, I either made it on like the Instagram, like is a picture and I made it on the Instagram edit, like story feature, or I made it on Canva. And then like everything else, like I manage all the spreadsheet, like all the content. I just manage it in a Google Sheet. Super simple. Does that answer your question?
So like for your CRM, for like outbound.
Yeah, that's go high level. Yeah. So we use HQ Flow.
Cool, guys. And guys, Chandler's going to have some more presentations through this event. I do want to make sure we stay on track. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and break for lunch. One of the things that is non-negotiable we want everybody in this room to do on the basis of connection and new connections. I know some of you guys came here with people that you know, and you know, you already know some people that are already here. I want to challenge everybody to sit and talk to somebody that is completely brand new to them at lunch. These conversations will be life-changing conversations, referencing back to the book by Dan Sullivan, Who, Not How. The who's in this room have the answers to the hows of the problems that you guys have in your business. So be vulnerable, make new connections, and we're going to go ahead and break for lunch. Let's give it up for Chandler, though.
Right outside.